Batman is an indelible part of American pop culture. Quite possibly the most well-known superhero, with adaptations across almost every form of media, stretching back to his debut in 1937 in the pages of Detective Comics number 27. The brooding Dark Knight detective, Gotham City's Chiropteran Crusader, is one of the greatest characters in modern literature. So is his sidekicks. Welcome to Box Number, and today we're talking about Robin, the boy and occasionally girl wonder. Now, before we get into it, I know there's a whole slew of comic fans who have some sort of bone to pick with Robin as a character, the introduction of whom is cited as the cause of Batman's descent into camp and silliness, lasting on until sometime in the 70s or 80s. So, before we look at Robin, let's take a brief look at the history of Batman pre-Robin, of which we have 11 issues of Detective Comics. And sure, those issues were heavier, pulp-inspired adventure books, but the story of Batman changed with every new issue, and while the introduction of Robin can be seen as a watershed moment, comics as a whole were changing. Robin's just become a scapegoat. And sure, Bob Kane originally had contempt for the Robin character, but Bob Kane has about as much to do with everything you love about Batman as Edison had to do with anything he invented. But whatever. Like Robin, don't like Robin. I'm not telling you what to do, I'm just telling you don't have to invent a fake excuse to support how you feel. Robin, as mentioned before, made his debut 11 issues after Batman first appeared, bursting out of the hoop in Detective Comics number 38 in 1940. He was originally sketched out by Jerry Robinson, who was inspired by the Robin Hood adventures he grew up reading, taking specific inspiration from the illustrations done by artist N.C. Wyleth. He pitched the idea and the original sketch to Kane and Bill Finger, and it was a hit. Over the years, a handful of young men and women have taken up the mantle of Robin. So, let's start at the top. First and foremost, we have Dick Grayson, the original Boy Wonder. He is without a doubt the most well-known incarnation of the character. The son of a pair of circus acrobats, Dick was orphaned when a gangster killed his parents because the owner of the circus refused to pay protection money. By the way, in the original story, they killed them by sabotaging the trapeze with acid, which seems highly noticeable. Like, hey, Mary, it seems all the ropes are burnt up with acid. We probably shouldn't swing from them. Anyway, Dick's adopted by Bruce Wayne because he knows Dick might very well grow to want vengeance, and Bruce wants Dick to be able to better focus the pain and anger in ways a young Bruce couldn't, which somehow includes being trained in crime fighting and given a flashy suit that draws fire from the bad guys so Batman can sneak up and steal their bones. Credit where credit due, Steal Your Bones is from Panda Red on TikTok. Give him a follow if you like this, but shorter. Dick is the one in canon who creates the name Robin, taking it in memory of his mother, who called him Robin because he was born on the first day of spring. That little bit of canon makes the fact that Bruce gave that title to other people, some without any consent from Dick, a little off. Robin is, as a character, immediately and instantly popular. He becomes a mainstay in the Batman stories being published at the time, and is even given a solo feature in Star Spangled Comics. He inspires legions of imitators both within the company and at the competition, notably Green Arrow's bafflingly named Speedy and Captain America's pal Bucky. He's also given his own Junior Justice League, the original Teen Titans, a team he remains associated with well into adulthood. Dick enrolls in college and continues to lead the Titans as Robin until finally adopting the identity of Nightwing, which he remains for the better part of forever. He did have 2 stints as Batman in Bruce's absence, as well as pre-New 52 acting as an agent for the Spiral organization. Nightwing is now one of DC's premier characters, having mained several solo series and leading several teams, not limited to the various incarnations of the Titans, teen or otherwise. Despite that drive to wean Robin away from Batman, DC felt that Batman without a partner was not the way to go. So a new Robin was introduced to take over for Dick after his departure. Jason Todd was introduced in 1983 as a replacement for Dick, and he was just that. The son of a pair of acrobats killed by a criminal, this time around Killer Croc and not a mob boss, he's adopted by Bruce Wayne and eventually becomes Robin. That's not the Jason Todd you're used to. Yeah, Pre-crisis Jason Todd was essentially Dick with blonde hair, that he eventually died for reasons. The only real notable thing pre-crisis Jason did was to be the Robin on hand for The Man Who Has Everything, a story by Alan Moore that is quite possibly one of the greatest character studies on Superman ever written. No, the version of Jason Todd that exists today came post-crisis, reinvented as an angry street kid who encountered Batman while stealing the tires off the Batmobile, managing to call the Dark Knight a big boob in the process, which is not an important detail, I just love it. After a short stint in a school for troubled youth, which is in reality a school for crime, Jason earns the mantle of Robin as a way to channel his rage. Jason is different as a character. He's a rebel. He smokes, he swears, he disregards authority, both police and Batman's. It's even heavily implied he killed a criminal very early on by pushing him off a balcony. Jason was deemed not to be popular, a fact that has never really been supported. No reported massive dip in sales at the time, just DC felt like he wasn't clicking as a character, so they came up with a plan. DC wanted to experiment with an interactive element, a way for the fans to be involved in the creative process. After a 4-part story arc called Death in the Family, about Jason searching for his birth mother, being captured by the Joker and left for dead in a warehouse with a bomb. At the end of that issue, the audience is presented 2 phone numbers. Call one for Robin to live, and the other for Robin to die. And by a dime-thin margin, he dies. Jason is later revived, takes up the mantle of Red Hood, first as a villain, then as an anti-hero, with a very weird stop in the middle which can only be described as Grant Morrison as fuck. Tim Drake was introduced in 1989, the year after Death in the Family, and he actually has one of the cooler Robin origins in my opinion. See, growing up in Gotham, Tim as a kid was a fan of Batman and Robin. He actually had deduced the secret identities of the dynamic duo by the time he was 9, thanks to being able to recognize an acrobatic maneuver from the Flying Graysons being used by Robin. He was inspired by this and took it upon himself to train in acrobatics, detective skills, martial arts, just anything he could do to better himself. Noticing Batman had gained a dangerous violent streak since the death of Jason Todd, Tim originally goes and finds Dick, hoping to get him to rejoin his mentor as Robin again, which Dick declines. After a run-in with Two-Face, Tim eventually wins the praise of both Dick Grayson and Alfred Pennyworth, but it's a full year of publication before Tim is given the title of Robin. Bruce wanted to train him extensively to avoid the mistakes he made with Jason. Tim is a very interesting character, in that his origins, while tied to Dick Grayson's, is unlike that of either predecessor. The Drakes are an affluent family, in the same social circle as Bruce Wayne. He has a family and he goes to school, and he's incredibly popular as a character. Now, it's hard to say if Jason ever wasn't popular. History will tell the story at once. But Tim brings new life into the role, modernizing the look for the 90s and giving Robin his own spin. Tim is, first and foremost, a detective, not an acrobat or an angry vigilante. Bruce trains Tim harder than he ever had before, even sending him abroad to sharpen his martial arts skills. With Tim Drake in the role, Robin becomes a flagship character, earning a string of successful miniseries and a solo book that ran for 15 years. Tim is given his own team, Young Justice, alongside Superboy, Impulse, and Cassie Sandsmark, the second Wonder Girl. He's Gotham's lone protector after Bruce temporarily retires. For a short time, he has to cede the Robin role when his father finds out about his double life, but he eventually returns. Tim only leaves the role of Robin because Dick Grayson, who stepped in as Batman after Bruce Wayne's death, feels that the two of them are equals and isn't comfortable with Tim being his sidekick. After this, he adopts the Red Robin moniker, goes on an amazing solo series near the end of the New Earth canon, and he has remained Red Robin pretty much consistently since then, except for a short reign as Drake, which is a terrible, terrible secret identity. Now, let's make a brief stop at the Girl Wonder, the fourth in-canon Robin before the resets of continuity, was Stephanie Brown, who is much better known as a spoiler, and, in my opinion, a criminally underrated Batgirl. Steph made her debut as a character in 1992, becoming a vigilante known as the Spoiler to interrupt her father's criminal exploits, her father being famous not the Riddler, the Clue Master. Originally, she only ever acts as the Spoiler when the Clue Master is active, before taking to the superhero life full-time. Her and Tim quickly develop a romance, with Tim helping Steph when she finds out she's pregnant with her ex's child. They have your usual rocky comic book romance, and have a falling out after Tim crosses a line in the sand with a criminal who injured her. She takes up the role of Robin when Tim is forced to live a normal life, but is quickly fired by Batman, who'd never really taken to her as a crime fighter. Steph wants to prove herself and steals one of Batman's plans for dealing with the underworld and attempts to pull it off. Fortunately, she didn't have a crucial piece of the plan, and that being Bruce Wayne's alter ego, Matches Malone, so she ends up igniting a citywide gang war. She's captured and tortured by everyone's least favorite anything, the Black Mask, and later dies from her injuries. Except she doesn't. It was all a trick by a doctor to keep Batman's identity safe. She returns to Gotham, spends a lot of time being told to hang up her cape, and at some point loses Tim's love and trust. She assumes the role of Batgirl after Cassandra Cain abandons it post Bruce Wayne's death, and she remains Batgirl until the New 52, where she's nowhere to be seen for some time until her reintroduction in the Batman Eternal storyline, and has stuck around various titles since. Lastly, we have a character I have a contentious relationship with, the son of the Bat and Grant Morrison's mark on the mythos of Batman, Damian Wayne. From the offset, you can see the one major thing that Damian shares with Bruce that the others have not. Blood. Damian Wayne was introduced in 2006 as the offspring of Bruce Wayne and Talia al Ghul. The concept, however, of the two of them sharing a child makes a few appearances before that. Firstly, in the non-canonical graphic novel Batman Son of the Demon, then in the Elseworlds continuity set up in the Brotherhood of the Bat, with Talent Wing. Probably most famously in Mark Waid's King to Come, Ibn al-Zufashq. Sorry about the pronunciation there. But we're not talking about them, we're talking about Damian. Damian Wayne was born out of a tryst between Batman and Talia al Ghul. He's raised separate from his father before eventually being dropped on him as a means to spoil Batman's mission by disrupting his personal life. Damian, as we meet him, is highly skilled, with a violent nature fostered by his youth around the League of Assassins, and to top it off, a spoiled, entitled brat. That is being oversimple. Damian wasn't raised by what would traditionally be considered a loving parent, nor at all an environment that would foster a stable child. He acts directly against his father's code and even attempts to murder Tim as a means to prove his worth and eliminate any and all rivals to the role of Robin, which he believes is his. This pattern continues for a while, with the story of Ra's al Ghul attempting to place his soul in the body of his grandson being his most notable story up until the death of Bruce Wayne. Damian settles into the character he ends up being in the long run after this. Perhaps the shock of his father's death is the cause, but Damian, while still arrogant and precocious, settles into a much less violent and not nearly as sociopathic personality, even saving Tim's life during the battle for the Cowl, before taking up the mantle of Robin as Dick steps up as the new Batman. The story from there, for a while at least, is Dick having to train Damian how to properly beat Robin and earn the young boy's respect. He still is the same, even as he gets better. He was raised for 8 years to think he was owed things because of who he was, and in the 14 years the character has been around, that has been a defining trait of his arrogance. Almost every interaction he has with a new character begins with him judging, berating, mocking, or belittling the character, only for the other to save him in some way. He puts the Teen Titans in danger on his first mission with them, and look, it's hard for me to talk plainly about Damian Wayne. He's a character I never really took to because so much of his run was a stretch of Batman I really didn't care for. He's proven to be a popular character, and I don't fault anyone who counts him as a favorite. He's continued on as Robin throughout the New 52 and Rebirth, and has been paired with the endlessly hopeful puppy dog that is John Kent as Superboy on and off since Rebirth. It's said that he might be going on his own massive arc and adopting his post-Robin identity here soon. So, that's Robin. Is this by any means an exhaustive look at the world's most famous sidekick? No, but it is a start. Robin is a character concept that has been adapted, reimagined, and ported to pretty much every artistic medium. It's the origins of the superhero sidekick as we know it today, and a nearly constant presence since his debut over 80 years ago. As much as a lot of people disagree, I think the truth was said best by Tim Drake before donning the red tunic. Batman needs Robin. Maybe not for every story, and maybe not in every take of the mythos, but in the purest, uncut form of Batman, inevitably, his old chum will be by his side. Thanks everyone for watching all the way to the end. Please subscribe for more, like, comment, and ding the thing. Box Number is also a podcast. Check it out on Anchor or wherever you get your podcasts. See you next time, and don't forget your bags and boards.